WCTC incredibly honored to be the official media partner of our friends at the New Jersey chapter of the American Heart Association. Today just so happens to be World Stroke Day, and it's an international day of awareness that is celebrated by the American Heart Association. The goal today, to teach everyone that stroke is preventable, treatable, and beatable. I've got not one, but two guests who are joining me now on the Miller Lite Jersey Central Newsmaker Hotline. They are some local volunteers with the American Heart Association, and they've got a pretty remarkable story to share with us this morning. First, we'll say hello to Patty Lang, who was with us here. Good morning, Patty. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. Thank you.
And you are joined by Dolly Lang. And Dolly, are you there with us too?
Yes, hello.
All right. Good morning to both of you, and thanks for being here. And Patty and Dolly, you're a mother-daughter team, so thank you both for being here. Patty, am I reading this correctly? You're a 3-time stroke survivor, is that right?
Yes, that's right. I mean, the way that I look at it is most people are lucky enough not to have one stroke, but unfortunately I've had 3, but I've beaten, and I feel like I'm constantly beating all 3 of them.
Wow. Remarkable. Any long-term debilitating effects as a result of the strokes for you, Patty?
Yes, unfortunately, I suffered some speech issues, as you can hear, which is a little difficult.
You're fine.
On the phone or radio.
It's okay.
So I have some aphasia and just mild, and I have a difficulty with my balance. The strangest effect of the stroke, though was I don't recognize numbers, which can be really it can make life really difficult at times.
I can see how. See how. But it doesn't sound like you're throwing the towel in, Patty. Sounds like you get up every day and you make it as successful and as positive as you can be for yourself, right?
Most definitely. And I volunteer with the Heart Association. I actually serve on my local Board of Education. I haven't let it stop me. Good for you.
And don't stop fighting. Don't let this thing beat you. That's for sure.
Not at all. And the best part was to get to teach Dolly all about it. So
yeah, I want to hear her story. Dolly, you're her daughter. You're 13. Is that right, Dolly?
Actually, 14.
Well, belated happy birthday to you then, because it must have been the misinformation that I had. But there was Mom was having a stroke, and you're there to help Mom. Is that what happened?
Yeah, we were on our way to her to one of her doctors when I started noticing the telltale signs of a stroke that she taught me how to notice, and I was able to get her help in time, luckily.
Wow. And that's the whole FAST thing that you recognized, right? You want to walk people through that? Because that's what you do. You guys volunteer with the Heart Association, and you tell people to recognize FAST, right?
Yeah. So FAST is face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, and time. The face drooping is if one of the sides of the person's face is looking like it's drooping down, or if they say it's numb. Ask the person to smile, and if the smile's uneven, it's the face drooping. Arm weakness is if one arm is weak or numb. You ask the person to raise both arms. If one arm can't be raised over the head, then that's a telltale sign of the arm weakness. The speech difficulty is if the speech is slurred or if they're stuttering, and they can't put together full, simple sentences. And then time is time to call 911. If anyone shows any of these symptoms, even if the symptoms go away, call 911 and get to a hospital immediately.
Yeah, they say the time portion of that, Dolly, is incredibly important. And when it gets to the speech difficulty, I'm trying to put myself in a situation. Maybe I would ask someone to say, "Hey, what's the words to Happy Birthday?" or "What's your full name and your address?" Just to get them to say something and kind of analyze what their speech is like, right?
Yeah, you want to ask them something that they should know, like who's the president or what the date is.
Something that then they could just go ahead and answer you, and you can kind of make that determination.
Yeah.
What do you do, Dolly? What if, for example, what if your mom there said, you know what, I'm okay. I'm just going to go lay down for a little bit. How do you tell people, hey, listen, you need medical attention and you need it right now? How do you impress that upon people?
You don't listen to them, in a sense. You just do it. Even if they say they're fine, and if you know they're not, then you have to, either way, get help for them.
I guess the thing to say is, okay, well, go lay down. I'm going to call 911, and you could wait in the bedroom, and then when they get here, they're going to take you to the hospital. So you can wait in the bedroom or you can wait out here, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how you do it then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Remarkable stuff. Now, they say it continues to be worldwide, Patty, the number 2 cause of death. So you've beaten the odds just by being still with us here, which I think is remarkable. 80% preventable. That's the part that I kind of have a hard time kind of wrapping my arms around. Smoking, alcohol, are there factors that lead to someone having a stroke?
Most definitely. High blood pressure is one of the biggest factors. Mm-hmm. So it's very important that we all know what our blood pressure is and that we work hard to keep it in, low so that it's not going to be a factor. But that high blood pressure is one of the biggest. High cholesterol is another issue. So you want to make sure that you're eating correctly. Smoking is a huge one, and smoking is one. Sometimes it's hard to control your blood pressure or your cholesterol, but you make the decision to smoke or not. Yeah. And quitting smoking today, it not only saves you, it helps to prevent stroke, but many other diseases that come along with smoking. So those are the important things. But then there are those of us who have what they call cryptogenic strokes, and they're not quite sure what causes those.
Gotcha. And I don't know, I was kind of on the fence, Patty, when I got word, and you probably did too, about perhaps lowering the threshold as to what determined high blood pressure or not. Because part of me said, well, this is just a way to sell more blood pressure medication. But you know what? If it's a way that you're going to bring that number down and get people to shoot for an even lower blood pressure, if it's going to prevent people from suffering strokes and it is still the number 2 cause of death, maybe it's not a bad thing then.
I agree. I think anything that we can do, because blood pressure affects one person differently than it does another, and I think it is important that we look at making sure we recognize it as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's the important thing. And like Dolly had said there when she was walking us through FAST, how that works, time to call 911, and time is such an important thing in this. Dolly, talk about some things that you guys do to volunteer. Do you go to schools? Do you go to civic groups? Do you work with the Heart Association and just kind of getting the word out?
We mostly work with the Heart Association and try to get the word out. We go a lot of the time to Trenton to talk to Congress and our senators about how to help people who've had strokes or are at risk of a stroke and to get more stroke care in place. One of the things we do a lot is we go to different places and just talk about stroke most of the time on World Stroke Day. It's really just to get the word out so people know the factors and people know what to do if they or someone they know experiences a stroke.
Yeah, and just remember FAST: face drooping, arm weakness, speech difficulty, and time to call 911. And the thing to do, I think, Dolly, is act. I mean, don't just, if you see something happening, how many times you say, well, maybe that's not it, or I'm not sure what I should do. Listen, when you think someone is suffering from a stroke, you got to kind of kick in and do the right thing. And sometimes your instinct will kind of keep you away from doing that, but sometimes you have to just kind of work and make it happen, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know when I saw my mom having her recent stroke that I was here with her, that part of me really didn't want to go tell someone because I was scared, but
Sure.
I knew something was wrong. So you kind of have to ignore the scary part of it, and just you have to get the person help, even if you're not sure if they need it.
Well, you're a brave young lady, Dolly, for what you did, and Patty, you got to be incredibly not only thankful for what Dolly has done for you. You got to be so proud of your daughter. It's got to be hard to put into words for you.
It really is, and she's just, in my eyes, she's amazing. She does Go Red rallies with me. She does all sorts of volunteering, and the greatest thing is she talks to people just as a part of normal conversation about stroke. Because the one thing that we both learned is that stroke does not discriminate. It can happen to anybody at any time, at any age, and that's the scary thing. I mean, my first stroke, I was 40. I think it was 42. It might have been 43, but wow. I don't do numbers well. So, it's not something that we can just think about this, I'm too young to be having a stroke, because you're not. So
yeah. Well, Patty and Dolly Lang, it was really great to speak to both of you today. Just an incredible story. And with the work that I do with the Heart Association and you do with the Heart Association, I'm sure our our paths will cross someday, and I look forward to meeting both of you in person. But thank you for the time today, and thank you for sharing your incredible story and getting the word out here on World Stroke Day, okay?
Thank you so very much. Thank you.
All right. You're very welcome.
you.
And thank you both for calling in.